What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about 6 potential superstar teams that could form this offseason. Now, last video we talked about the NBA Finals and how I ranted about how, the NBA may become just about super teams that need to start forming to compete with the Cavs and the Warriors, because it doesn't sound like Warriors, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry's going anywhere, and I don't think Cleveland has any unrestricted free agents to worry about in their Big Four. So it's just something that I think these NBA teams should think about. But before I get into that, we are 4 subscribers away from being at 200. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I'm always doing awesome videos. We're going to be talking about free agency this whole July and the NBA Finals and this whole just NBA in general. And if you haven't checked out my last video, the NBA Finals prediction, make sure to go check that out. It's just not my prediction. I actually ran about how the state of the NBA is today. Is pretty interesting. But first, we're going to start with Derrick Rose maybe deciding being able to sign with the Minnesota Timberwolves to reunite with Tom Thibodeau, where Derrick Rose had his most successful part of his career when Tom Thibodeau was the head coach for the Chicago Bulls. Obviously, this when Derrick Rose won his MVP award. And, you got to think, we heard rumors about this last trade deadline. Could Derrick Rose actually potentially want to go play for the Minnesota Timberwolves? Just think about this big four they would have. Andrew Wiggins, Karl-Anthony Towns, Zach LaVine, and Derrick Rose. Now, Derrick Rose is, last year he talked about having a super team with the Knicks. Now he could honestly say it and no one would think he's as dumb. Obviously, the Timberwolves are not as proven yet. They're still young. They're still trying to get it together, but they have a nice 3 players right here. Whether they keep Rubio or not is up to them. I don't know if they'll have the cap if they don't get rid of Rubio. I know they should probably dump Pekovic because I know he has a kind of a crazy contract and he can't stay healthy. So I think this would be a nice scenario. That big four, plus they have Gorgie Dang, Tom Thibodeau. I think this would be a nice super team and could potentially compete with the Warriors. I don't know about that. It's borderline at this point, but I definitely think they could make the playoffs. And I would love to see Derrick Rose and go to Minnesota. I think he'd fit well there to play along with Andrew Wiggins. Karl-Anthony Towns, Zach LaVine, that's an awesome cast right there. So Minnesota definitely has the attraction there, and I would love to see that. But next, we got Kyle Lowry to the Pelicans. Now, this is interchangeable with Chris Paul, maybe another point guard, but right now, we're just going to think about Kyle Lowry to New Orleans Pelicans, because right now it's looking like Chris Paul might go to the Spurs, which we might talk about that later in this video, wink, wink, but Kyle Lowry to the Pelicans. Imagine this big three of Kyle Lowry, Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins. Maybe they bring in more free agents, more building blocks, more role players around those 3, and then there you go. You got a big 3. Maybe they bring in a nice, decent player like a guy like Rudy Gay, maybe scoring option. But you never know how much money those guys are going to want, like maybe Danilo Gallinari, Iguodala. You just never know how much money those guys are going to want. That would be a nice big 3 for them, but maybe they can bring in someone else, a nice big 4. Can you imagine Kyle Lowry, Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins? It would be awesome big 3 right there, and I think this team could obviously make the playoffs. They have the scoring up front and then the scoring down low. Obviously DeMarcus Cousins, Anthony Davis are without a doubt the best 2 big men in this league. In my opinion, DeMarcus Cousins is the best center in the NBA, and Anthony Davis is the best power forward in the NBA. And now they're on the same team after last year's trade deadline, which is absolutely insane if you actually think about it. And I couldn't be happier about this. I think DeMarcus Cousins needed to get out of Sacramento, and he did. So congrats to DeMarcus Cousins. Now bring in a point guard for these 2. It could be Chris Paul or Kyle Lowry. Just some player throw up lobs to them. Get them open, spread the floor. Obviously, these guys can both shoot threes. Bring in Kyle Lowry. He can shoot the 3 ball as well. You have a nice spread of the floor. Bring in a stretch big, a stretch 3. Well, not a stretch 3, obviously, but a 3 that can shoot 3s as well. Then you got a nice thing going there in New Orleans, which I definitely think they could get together. So that's another scenario, and I would love to see that happen as well. Hopefully, teams are thinking about making super teams. Next, we got Chris Paul and the San Antonio Spurs. Obviously, I did a rebuild over this in one of my other videos, so make sure to go check that out if you haven't already. I think it's pretty good. I think I did well. What do you guys think? But Chris Paul and the Spurs obviously have mutual interest. Whether or not the Spurs can slim down cap space to sign him, or Chris Paul is going to take a pay cut. That is yet to be seen. But obviously, this would be something that would be very cool. I think Chris Paul would fit well playing alongside Kawhi Leonard, LaMarcus Aldridge, unless if they do decide to trade LaMarcus Aldridge or something like that and free up cap space for Chris Paul. I don't know. Who knows? Pau Gasol's there as well. I don't know. They might have to gut their whole bench, though, like how the Warriors did. But, look how well it worked out for them. Although, we don't know yet. They're going to win that ring. But, anyway, I don't know if the Spurs will be able to gut their cap space is pretty much what I'm saying. Are they going to get enough cap space? It is yet to be seen if Chris Paul is willing to take a pay cut. Obviously, I've heard rumors that he can take like a $200 million contract from the Clippers. I just don't think that's best for his career. Yes, he gets the money, a lot of money, in fact, but he's not going to win there. Chris Paul deserves a ring. He's been one of the best point guards in recent memory, and he definitely deserves a ring, so he needs to go win himself a ring. There's no need to re-sign with the Clippers. It has not worked for the last 6 years, last 5, or whatever it was. It's time for him to get out of Los Angeles, find a new home. San Antonio, I think, would be a perfect spot for him. If not, go to New Orleans. Maybe there's a different spot, but I would like those two teams for Chris Paul. He deserves it. Let's get him there. Hopefully he makes the right decision. If he goes back to the Clippers, he's just taking it for the money. It's stupid for his career, but I guess Clippers fans are probably hopeful they can re-sign him, or maybe they're hopeful they can just do a complete rebuild, because obviously it hasn't worked in recent last 5 years or whatever it is. But I don't know, man. We'll just have to see what happens. Next, we got Paul George, the Portland Trailblazers. I've also done a video over this as well. CJ McCollum has made it known that he wants Paul George. Damian Lillard has hinted at it a little bit on Twitter, and I think Paul George, and not to mention, Portland has 3 first-round picks, and they have a nice shooting guard that comes off the bench that is making a lot of money, Allen Crabbe, which could be very attractive to the Indiana Pacers. Obviously, if they do decide to trade Paul George, they could be looking to rebuild big time. So I think Paul George, the Blazers, might fit well. He could come in, starting 5 of Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, Yusuf Nurkic, Noah Vonleh, Paul George. That is a nice starting 5. Could possibly compete with the Golden State Warriors, and I think that would be a great. Obviously, as a Portland fan, I'd be excited. I don't know what they would have to use to get him, but I would not want them to trade Lillard, McCollum, or Nurkic. So if we can't make it happen without those 3 players in the deal, then it's not worth it to me, because Paul George is going to be a free agent after this season anyway, and who knows where his head's at after he gets traded, whether or not he wants to stay with the team he's traded to, or whether or not he just stays with the Pacers. Obviously, if he stays with the Pacers, I think he's gone after free agency. Maybe he's gone at the deadline. But I think the Pacers should start rebuilding now to get ahead of themselves. Just like I think the Bulls should too. They should trade Jimmy Butler, whether or not they do. But it's just up in the air. There's just 2 teams that just need to get it figured out. Pacers and Bulls. They need to figure out whether they're gonna start rebuilding or they're gonna try to just stay competing. But it obviously hasn't worked out. But I would love this move for the Portland Trailblazers. They have 3 first-round picks. Hell, send them all over for Paul George. Give them Allen Crabbe, Evan Turner, whatever it takes. I think that would be an awesome deal. As a Blazers fan, obviously you would love to see that happen. There's no way you don't want Paul George on your team. Obviously, Paul George could go to the Wizards or something like that too, but I just said that. But next, we got Blake Griffin going to the Thunder. Reason why J.J. Redick's in this picture, because if Chris Paul goes to the Spurs, there's no way Redick could obviously follow Chris Paul to the Spurs. They won't have the cap room for it. But unless he signed a minimum deal, I guess. But Blake Griffin going to the Thunder, I feel like could maybe swing J.J. Redick following him, and the Thunder need the help, so they get a nice three-point shooting guard. They need to trade away Victor Oladipo for this to even happen. They don't have the cap space. They need to get rid of Enes Kanter, Steven Adams, or Oladipo to get cap space for Blake Griffin. Maybe even 2 of them at least. I think if they're going to get rid of 2 of them, I think it's Kanter and Oladipo. Steven Adams has been good for the Thunder. But I think this would be a nice trio. Blake Griffin, J.J. Redick, Russell Westbrook, and they keep Steven Adams. That's a nice, pretty big 4 you got there that could also compete with the Warriors. I feel like Russell Westbrook would be more loaded up against KD and the Golden State Warriors. Obviously, there's been talks that Russell Westbrook and KD are on talking terms again, but no one really knows about really what's going on. But in my mind, Russell Westbrook absolutely hates Kevin Durant. There's no way he doesn't. There's no way there's not bad blood between those two. So Russell Westbrook and the troops get together in this offseason, and they build a nice team this offseason, and they're ready to go against Golden State Warriors, because I just think this is the state of the NBA now. I think it's time for just super teams. Not Blake Griffin. The Warriors and the Cavs aren't going anywhere, like I just said, and if anyone's going to want to take them down, players need to start understanding that they need to join and unite to try to take these teams down. They can't do it with just like a guy like Russell Westbrook doing it by himself. There's no way you can do it. You got to join together. You got to join forces. And like what I said, I mean, the Warriors swept the Western Conference. The Cavs only, I think, lost one game in the whole playoff. So it's just crazy, man. These teams need to start understanding that. But next we got Gordon Hayward and the Boston Celtics. So the Celtics don't trade the pick. They draft Markelle Fultz. He comes off the bench or he starts, whatever they want to do with him. And if you've seen a picture of Markelle Fultz getting bulked up, he looks like a great player, more bulked up than Isaiah Thomas. He looks like he's ready for the NBA, which is very exciting. You have a team of Gordon Hayward, Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Avery Bradley, Markelle Fultz, and I'm probably missing someone. Al Horford, that's a nice big six you got there, and it's going to look good on paper. You go sign Gordon Hayward, hopefully, bring him to Boston. I think they have a cap for it, so I don't think they need to trade anyone if they're willing. If they can just straight up sign Gordon Hayward, that'd be absolutely awesome for this team, and I could see it happening, and I think this team could definitely go up against the Cavs. Hopefully Markelle Fultz is able to adapt to the NBA quickly, and the Celtics are able to reload, and Isaiah Thomas holds off on his extension. They're able to sign Gordon Hayward, and this would be absolutely perfect for the Celtics. They keep Marcus Smart to, back up Isaiah Thomas. He was, and Jaylen Brown. Man, this team is loaded. If they were able to have an off season like this, maybe they don't even sign Gordon Hayward. They sign someone else. If they have an off season like that, they're going to be ready to face the Cavs. You better believe that. And I feel like they definitely could be. And one team to also watch out for, it's just a bonus. One team to also watch out for, I think the 76ers are on to something. If they're able to sign someone this offseason and they have a good pick, which they obviously will, I don't think you can go wrong with any of these picks this draft. But, oh man, there's just a lot to talk about. But that's it for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think I'm right about the aspect that these teams need to start forming super teams, or do you think I'm just completely dumb? Just let me know what you think in the comment section. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We're almost so close to 200. Let's get it there. But that's it for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for the continued support. I appreciate it so damn much. But that's it. And I'm saying peace.